Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa is condemning human rights abuses by the Zimbabwean government. The crisis in Zimbabwe has intensified recently, with citizens taking to the streets to protest against corruption and the never-ending economic crisis. The Bar Association is now appealing to President Emmerson Mnangagwa to engage with civil society organizations and opposition groups to find lasting solutions. Let's speak now to PABASA's advocate Gcina Malindi, who's joining us by Skype this afternoon. Advocate, good to have you on the program. So you are appealing to President Emmerson Mnangagwa to engage, you say, with civil society organizations and the opposition, but you wonder what the chances are of that happening when just this week he's made it clear that he believes what we are seeing in Zimbabwe is the work of foreign forces and what he described as rogue Zimbabweans.
Unfortunately, that statement sounds like what apartheid South Africa used to say about internal resistance and outside resistance against apartheid in South Africa. We therefore do not accept the declaration that the protests are merely driven by rogue elements, undesirable persons, which he wishes to delegitimize so that he can act against them in the manner that he is currently acting. We do not only call upon President Mnangagwa to engage in genuine and lasting, honest dialogue with the people of Zimbabwe. We also call upon our President Ramaphosa, in his capacity as President of South Africa and Chairperson of the African Union, to bring upon sufficient force to bear on President Mnangagwa so that the crisis in Zimbabwe is resolved.
And I'll get to the South African intervention, or the attempt, at least at this stage, to intervene. But I firstly want to ask you about your understanding of the scale of these alleged rights abuses in Zimbabwe.
The scale is enormous. We presently believe that over 60 people have been arrested, and other media reports indicate that that number has exceeded hundreds of people, and that the crisis is a political crisis. It's beyond just enforcing the COVID-19 regulations and directions of the government of Zimbabwe.
So to the South African intervention, then, President Cyril Ramaphosa announcing last night that he's going to send the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Baleka Mbete, and former Minister Sidney Mufamadi to Harare to speak with the Zimbabwean government and see how South Africa can be involved in trying to bring the country out of what has been described as difficulties. But South Africa has travelled in terms of teams that have gone to Zimbabwe in the past and tried to intervene with very little success. So what's going to be different about this trip, I wonder?
We hope that the persons that have been dispatched by South Africa to Zimbabwe will engage the government of Zimbabwe so that it adheres to its own constitutional provisions that allow for peaceful protest, that do not allow human rights abuses. And we hope that under the direction of the President, the attempt is to bring about genuine dialogue and interaction with Zimbabwe so that Zimbabwe desists from perpetuating the violence it is currently meting out against the people of Zimbabwe. We believe...
Apologies, Advocate, please finish your point.
We believe that the efforts of the South African government, together with the efforts of the African Union, should bring about enough force to bear on the Zimbabwe government to change its current trajectory of delegitimizing legitimate protest.
I'm thinking of just two of the core demands from some of the demonstrators in Zimbabwe at the moment. Some of them say they want President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his entire government gone. Zimbabwe is in desperate need of economic relief. South Africa at this point is really not in a position to make either of those things happen. So is this not going to be a wasted trip if we cannot produce deliverables on those two things?
Well, as the Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa, we wish to emphasize the fact that bringing about the rule of law does not cost. That is the pressure that must be brought upon the government of Zimbabwe to ensure that there is a rule of law. Our statement opens by quoting Martin Luther King Jr., when he said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." We therefore believe that as lawyers, the starting point is to bring about the rule of law. Thereafter, the political aspect must be driven not only by South Africa, but by the African Union as a whole, because the stability, political and economic, that we desire is not only for South Africa and Zimbabwe, but for the SADC region and the continent as a whole. Those resources that South Africa cannot afford at the moment, they can be mobilized through the organs of the African Union, and we believe that as Pan-Africanists, the African Union should be able to assist in regards to those core demands by the Zimbabweans.
Quick final one then, Advocate. Beyond this call for the South African government and the likes of the AU to do more for Zimbabwe, would you as a group of legal professionals consider taking on the issue in any other form?
Obviously, as lawyers, if and when called upon, and we will make inquiries with our colleagues in Zimbabwe to assist in pursuing legal avenues, we will make ourselves available to assist in that regard.
All right, Advocate Gcina Malindi, advocate with the Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa, speaking about the developments in Zimbabwe.